Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome. It's Dick Wade from Military Environmental Health Memories. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Saturday, the 5th of October, 2024. In a moment, I am going to bring on my guest. But before we do that, my normal request to you is if you're watching live on YouTube now, first of all, thank you very much. However, if you're not and you watch it later, it doesn't really matter. The request is identical and the same. Would you please consider looking down and subscribing to the channel? Now, the reason for this is very, very straightforward. The more subscribers we get, the more interactions, such as comments and likes, and we don't mind thumbs down. They get traction as well, but we prefer the thumbs up. So if you're happy to interact, please do. It will enhance the reach of this channel through the Google and YouTube algorithms. It will be found by more people because it will think, oh, there's something going on there that people like. They're interacting with it and there's a bit of chat going on. And by default, we'll go up the rankings and more people will get to hear about us, which is the whole aim of this exercise from the get-go, to spread military, currently environmental health memories around the world, to remember those people who are, first of all, still with us, and more importantly, those who may have passed on. There'll be various shows later dedicated to that group of people. Anyway, so without further ado, let's get rid of that. Let's see if we've got anybody sat waiting to join us. And oh, we do. We've got ourselves a Big Ted. Hello, Tony. How are you doing?
Not bad, Jake. Yourself?
I'm extremely well. Well, before we kick in, mate, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I've been looking forward to this one. And, you know, just again, to let everybody know, it's not planned. There's no script. There's no, it is what it is. And it's kind of warts and all. Yeah. And it'll just go where it goes. So you can imagine my fear and trepidation, can't you?
Try it this end.
Oh, good on you, man. Well, you know, we'll set the scene very, very quickly, Tone. Everyone knows you as Big Ted, obviously, forever. That's, you know, if anyone says, "Oh, how's Ted getting on?" No one's going to go, "Who's Ted?"
Yeah,
you know, they're going to know.
That's thanks to Hippo.
Thanks to Hippo. Oh, I was talking to him last night actually, and it was quite funny because it was in the middle of Bedlam. We had a quick face-to-face on Facebook Messenger, and he had Evie, his daughter, was on his chest. He was on his sofa. He had one kid on his chest. There was the other one, Billy, was running around like someone had injected him with rocket fuel with an aeroplane, and he was. And then there was another one. And look, how many kids has that man got, for God's sake?
Coming out of the woodwork, mate. It's New Zealand for you. It must be a paradise for fertility.
Yeah, I think it is. It's something in the water, you know. And yeah, without a doubt. But anyway, he was in good form. It was great to see. So let's dive in then, Tony. So, you know, normal score. The aim is very, very simple. It's to kind of preserve memories of people, military and non-military, Army, Navy and Air Force, who serve within environmental health. And it's just to let other people know how environmental health's been, you know, through the years, as it were. And so if we kickstart with let's go back to just before you joined the Army there. So you I think you went to normal school, didn't you? Was it approved?
Normal school? No, it was approved.
Yeah. So when they let you out of your institution, no, in all seriously, when you finished school in Derby, what's your thought process? Take us through leaving school and getting in the Army.
I suppose I was taken after my brother. He joined years previously, and I quite liked the idea of the life of the Army.
Yeah.
Wanted to join straight away from leaving school, and my mum and dad wouldn't let me. They wanted me to go and get a trade and what have you. However, I hadn't planned on that, so I hadn't done any sort of apprentice, you know, planning for jobs when I left school. Net result was I ended up unemployed. I worked for the railway for a while, and then parents relented and said, "Okay, if you want to go, you can go." So I joined. I mean, I came from the background that I had was a pretty rough council estate in Derby. It was most of the people that I went to school with now are either dead or in prison. So I'm doing all right for myself, I suppose.
You're doing well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well done.
That's one of those. But yeah, there's I mean, I've still got really good friends from those days, but it was a pretty rough area. I went from there, signed up in May, 5th of May, 81.
Yeah.
The day Bobby Sands died.
Oh right, yeah.
So I spent the rest of my basic training on the drill square for bomb alerts. Yeah, because everybody was playing it. Yeah, it was a nightmare. It really was.
Days of the IRA and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, very much.
Bear in mind, with him gone, more food for the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly. And jobs for decorators.
So into RAMC then. I think, am I right in saying you went straight into RAMC, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I actually applied to join RAMC, believe it or not, as a telecommunications technician, but I've got a lazy left eye, and as a result, I couldn't go down that route.
Okay.
And it just so happened that the guy in the recruiting office was a medic, so he said, "Oh, you ought to join the medical corps," which is where I ended up, obviously.
But sound man, I mean, that was a good idea and turned out pretty well, didn't it? Into Bratt College then in early 80s. Obviously, you're going to do a 2-year stint there. Give us your views on Bratt College. Obviously, I've got mine, but I'm keen to. Was it fun? Was it enjoyable? It was a really mixed environment of great fun and really tough military training, wasn't it, at the same time?
It was intense. Without a shadow of a doubt, it was probably the most intense part of my army career. Because, as you say, it wasn't just about playing football and playing cricket and, the sporting side. Yeah. The soldiering side of it was impressive. There was I learned more probably in that first couple of years on soldiering side than I ever learned beyond leaving Bratt College. Yeah. It was, but we had, some great guys there that were really experienced, knew how to take us forward as boys, because that's what we were kids, really.
Yeah, it's true.
Took us forward as boys, and I think when they turned out the other end, they turned out some pretty good soldiers.
That's very true. It's really interesting to see what goes in, and it's normally long-eared guys with like headlights, eyes looking like, whoa, what's this all about? And then if you then fast forward, out comes this through the machine, through the factory, out comes this smart, fit, rearing to go, normally very switched on individuals come out of Bratt College. Was that your experience as well? And
with the confidence to go, probably a little bit of overconfidence to go forward, to be honest, in my case. But you had the likes of Jim Byrne and Scouse Wilmot and Steve Howe, Dave Morris. They were all Jim Egan. I mean, probably one of my great heroes from my medical corps service was Jim Egan. I bumped into him, strangely enough, as a colonel at the EH wing. He was going up the steps into EH wing with Scouse Wilmot. Sadly, I think he's passed on now.
I think he has. I'm not 100% sure. That's interesting, but I agree with you, mate. What a wonderful man. He became my boss, in Dusseldorf. He was Commander Med.
I didn't know that.
He was Commander Med, and he was as brilliant then as he ever was. What just an outstanding leader of people. He was just but a really nice guy as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was a lovely fella.
Yeah. Bratt College, Chivas, obviously, the greatest house.
I hear that was a very good, one of the best houses, and I recall having a discussion. There was they used to wear these little yellow things on their arm, on their shoulder. Well, they
were the also runs.
That's right, and they had a little number 2 on the back, didn't they? Yeah, not that we ever saw that, obviously.
No, they were always on the bench, so we never saw that on the
Me and you better watch out when we're walking down the street. Yeah, but the good news is we'll never see any of them at reunions because they were crap at map reading as well. They won't be able to get there. But no, I mean, it's worth. I mean, Brack College itself. You were a good sportsman. I recall. I recall extremely well because you were our house sergeant in Brack College.
For my sins.
And there was a lot of good sport going on, wasn't there? So you did a lot of sport. Tell me, what was your key things?
Football.
Indeed, yeah.
We did reasonably well in the sort of junior army leagues, if you like. Cricket was a big one. Spent a lot of time playing cricket in the summer. Tug of war, athletics.
Yeah, it was all there, wasn't it?
I did my canoe instructor's course there. It was just one thing after another. It was people say, why did you join the army? I'm playing sport all the time.
I don't know if you remember this, but it makes me laugh to this day. I mean, you mentioned canoeing. I'd forgot about this, and it's not on any of my notes, by the way. So this has randomly just come to mind.
This is coming back to me as well as you talk. Go on.
It was really interesting. So I wasn't particularly good canoe. You were. I remember you used to roll over and do all sorts of things. And was it Monmouth? Did we go into Monmouth? I think it was Monmouth. And I'm in my canoe, and I've got me little bit of plastic thing on me.
Spray deck, yeah.
Yeah, and it was really quite funny. So I was facing up against the water, and so it's flowing down. And I recall you said to me, "Oh no, it's dead," and I was kind of stuck. And you went, "Oh, it's dead easy. Just stick your paddle in, twizzle your bum round." And you did it, and you showed me, and off you went. I thought, "Oh, that looks easy." Stuck the thing, twizzled my bum round, went over, spent the next minute underwater, being dragged out to sea in flipping whales.
Vague recollections of that.
The git. Never did get into canoeing. Anyway, that was all good fun. Yeah. So actually, thinking about it, that again, things like all that adventure training. That was all that character building stuff on it in Brack College.
Very much so. And it wasn't just in the normal hours of Brack College either. We used to disappear off. Terry Bowen used to take, there was a group of us used to go regularly rock climbing in Wales.
Yeah.
With his family, his son, and so we'd all just disappear off. So it sort of rolled into your social life that all that adventure training. It was brilliant, absolutely superb.
You did, and it was like a big family, and it really was very formative years. I think most people who go through that apprentice college, 2 years, long time, isn't it? And
well, I was there nearly 3.
Oh right, was you?
Yeah, because what was coming up? It was the tug of war at the Royal Tournament.
Ah, right, okay.
The tug of war team, we'd won our way through, basically. I mean, we came third in the Army Championships. And I'm not talking about junior Army.
Right.
It was Army Championships that year. And we got invited up to Earl's Court to do the Royal Tournament. As it happens, I will tell you that I got a Royal Tournament jumper and I didn't deserve one because there was a bit of a mix going on. And at the time, I was young and in love with a young lady in Ash. And it was all the training was interfering with me getting down to see her. And obviously there were a mix of priorities. So I just said, shove your tug of war. But what they'd done is they'd kept me in Brack College ready for that. And they kept me in as a private soldier. I mean, I'd been the apprentice sergeant and all that sort of garbage.
Yeah.
And we were living as there was a couple of us that were just held back effectively to... which meant I missed the first round. I should have been on Dave Stewart's environmental health course. But I wasn't. I effectively put it back a year because of for tug of war.
That's fine, mate. You say what you like on here. Oh well, there you go. So you dodged a bullet then, didn't you? Did well there. That was a proper result. I just want to put this on because people are starting to join us on YouTube now. So I want people to know that if you want to join in, you want got a question or you want to throw some abuse at us, do type it into. But the good thing is, comes onto this screen first. Well, I've learnt my lesson, haven't I? I used to let them come straight in, and all this tirade of abuse appear. Oh, that's true. I need to filter out the truth. It's horrible. It's beginning to hurt.
Yeah.
I'm a sensitive soul, as you know, Tony. Right, anyway, before we get, I want to bring something in. So let's click a button, see what happens. Oh, that's what happens. So while we're talking about apprentice college, then what's this? Who's that? Is that you at the front? I do believe it is.
Yeah, and there's some plonker at the front. There's some good guys in that crowd, though, mate. I'll tell you. The right marker was a bit of a tosser, but
I did hear that. Yeah, well, he'll probably come on this show one day if we can get the twat out of bed. You know what I mean? So
there was some good guys in amongst that lot. There's not just the H, but that across the whole of the disciplines of the corps. The guys that made the mark. We were talking the other day about Jim Mackland. What a guy, I'm almost proud to have been involved in his development as the brat sergeant, and not that you were overly involved. It was just a case of shouting.
Well, it is because it's formative years, man. And let's put that down again. Bring me and you back in. It's kind of formative years, and if we look at that group, let me just make it a bit bigger again. There's some really good characters in there, some of which you and I went on to serve with around the world in various places, and still talk to on an almost daily basis to this day. And that's a brilliant gang of people. I think that picture that says a lot. That picture to me, and you know what it says to me, Ted? It says cohesion, smart group of people who. That's probably a passing out parade, isn't it? I
think wrong. It was yours.
Yeah, I'm guessing it is passing out parade. And really, really kind of proud moment, I guess. For everybody in there, really.
Yeah.
So that's quite fascinating. That. Anyway, so 2 years of Brat College. Tug of war keeps you from. You got
nearly 3 years.
Gave you a bulletproof vest because you ended up on the class 3 that we all class 3 environmental health that we all ended up with.
Yeah.
What a rag tag bunch of buggers that was. Tell me about your class. And obviously I know, but tell everyone else about the class 3 course. What was your take on it?
I think we were just a bunch of rogues, absolute rogues. How we got away with getting through that class 3 course is beyond me. I can't remember. There was about 20 odd people that were. And initially joined the course. I think.
Well, there was quite a gang at the start, and funny you should mention that. Here's one I prepared earlier.
Yeah, well, there's only 8 people in that photograph.
Yeah. That
started the class 3 course. There was 20. I think it was 26.
It was. I recall you're right. It was right old big gang of people, and
there was only 8 of us left at the end.
Yeah, and it was really quite interesting. I mean, I don't know how did you find? Let me just close that down because I'm really interested on your views on this. How did you find the study and all that? Was it easy for you?
Got to be careful how I answer this. I didn't find it too hard. It was. I mean, there were bits of it where you really had to knuckle down, but as I say, at the time I was young and in love, and so I was disappearing at the end of the day each day and disappearing off to see a young lady in Ash, and then turning up. You'd then sit down and go, oh shit, we've got a what did they call them? Progress test tomorrow.
Yeah, every week.
Better get my head in the book. So, I mean, I did work hard. I mean, particularly in the sort of working hours, I worked hard. Outside the working hours, I know there were some individuals that put some severe effort into that course, and I mean severe effort. The likes of Billy Meacham, I mean, he came out top of the course every time, but the reason was he had his head in his books.
No, that's right.
He was so dedicated. Unbelievable. I wish I'd had that dedication, to be honest. I might have learned something.
Well, the end result was the same. We all passed.
Yeah, exactly.
You had more fun. But it was quite intense. It was a lot. I remember those progress tests. It was the devil of the detail that used to get me, and I still am. I can't draw for toffee. I can't. Do you remember that? What if we used to have to draw the flipping
section through a suspended ground floor and sections
and
through the roof.
Like water systems in the house.
Yeah.
What the hell's all this? I can't even draw a cat.
Do you know, strangely enough, I've started doing a bit of tech drawing. For just to while away the hours, really.
Yeah.
And one of the things I drew the other day was a section through a suspended ground floor.
You got to get hobby, man. We'll probably come on to that later, but that's really bizarre. Anyway, so class 3 course, and then we finished that. We passed. God, as we say, God knows what went wrong there at the end. But anyway, someone had a sharp pencil that gave us the tick in the box. So it's now 1984. And where do you go? Where are you off to?
I was taken on the staff, became one of Brian's boys.
Straight off the bat.
Straight off the back end of the class 3, straight into the instructing team at Kia.
Yeah.
Which, on reflection, was a mistake. As I say, I came out of Brett College overconfident, and I would. And I still do to this day, challenge virtually everything I come across. I don't accept, what I'm given. It's quite interesting that just something I saw on the news the other day, and it said something about we ask the questions, but we then got to question the answers. And I just thought, well, and that's been sort of been my attitude all the way through, and it comes across sometimes very positively and a lot of times very negatively. So, and it came across negatively with Brian Hart.
Big Brian,
as I say, I was young and in love at the time.
Not with Brian Hart.
No, not with Brian Hart.
Thank God for that. That's good. That worried me slightly. Whew, dodged the bullet there.
But I planned on getting married. So Brian Hart's response was, "You're off to Belize. Gone." He posted, to stop me getting married, he posted me to Belize.
Oh my!
And you just think, well, hang on a minute, what's going on here? So I wanted out of the depot after that, obviously. And then I came back from Belize straight onto the class 2.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And post class 2, I went to Dusseldorf. So I took over from you, I think, in Dusseldorf in 80.
You did indeed, mate.
It must have been 85.
I'm going to bring up a little graphic to remind us of a few things. So I thought, so I was racking my brains. I thought, right, where's Tony been in his travels in the army? And I came up with that little. Let's make it a bit bigger for the time being. You and I will disappear. I don't know if I got the kind of time frames right, but yeah, off we go. Yes, so class 3 Falklands.
No, I was class 2 in the Falklands. You came back from Belize, did the class 2, went off to Dusseldorf, and then I went to the Falklands from Dusseldorf.
Yeah, and if you look on the bottom right, Tony, there, look, there's your office in Dusseldorf. Can you see it? I think you had a sign put out called the Auberge Pub or something.
Is that where it is? Yeah. You had a greater affinity with that place than I ever did. In fact, didn't your brother run it at one stage?
Well, funny enough, he's still there, so it's worth mentioning because the Auberge has a great place in my heart. Most squaddies, certainly any EH who've served in Dusseldorf, so the likes of Schulze and Graham Stark and Jeff McGowan and you and me, we've probably spent more time and money, he adds quickly, in the Auberge and the Irish bars. And that's worth mentioning because back in the 80s, of course, IRA still a big old thing, and we're people like me and you supping Schlosser Ale and Guinness in Irish bars, and they're coming around with a tray for the calls. What the hell?
Yeah, I remember that well. I also remember the last time we were in the Auberge, where you couldn't stand up because we'd been in that. What was it?
Killer Pitch.
Miller Pit.
The Killer Pitch bar.
Killer Pitch.
God, yeah.
That's the one.
I think it was a dodgy batch, and what had happened on that what had happened on that day, a doctor had been involved, and he made a mistake, and he put anesthetic in the drink. Of course, I drank it, and my legs went numb. Gotta remember that.
That was you can't remember it. You couldn't. You weren't even conscious. It was.
No.
It
I've
was
got the news footage that was on the telly on VDR Spy afterwards. But yeah, it's worth. Hey, that Killer Pitch bar there. That's quite a place, isn't it? And what is that drink?
I've got absolutely no idea. I'll never drink it again.
It's like dirty black treacle, and you drink it, and your mouth goes numb, and your brain goes, "Whoa, what the hell's going on?" And then your legs go, "That's it. I've had enough."
It's cough syrup.
Well, yeah, I think it might. It does actually taste like
cough syrup laced with vodka.
Yeah. Well, we might as well, let's talk about Dusseldorf for a minute, because it's a great place. I was going to try and get a picture. Maybe you want to mention this story rather than me. I was going to look for a picture of a submachine gun, but I couldn't find. You get. Look, I've got goosebumps already.
I don't think I should admit to this because it was completely unprofessional. But
that doesn't matter, because limitation liability is long gone now.
It was Christmas 84. No, 85. Christmas 85.
Yeah.
And you came over to Dus and was staying in my room for party time, because Dusseldorf was that sort of place. And I picked up a stag. I was on stag for the for guard duty. Yeah. And in those days, they used to give us 10 live rounds and an SMG. And I remember being sat in the room while I was off stag, and you went off to the loo while I emptied my magazine underneath the pillow. And then when you came back, I was sat there going, "Oh, I'm pissed off with this. I've had enough. I'm depressed and blah." And I clicked the magazine on, and your face lit. "What are you doing?" And I cocked the weapon, and you went, "Ah!" And I pointed it at you. at which point Tony Jones had to change the sheets on his bed.
New pants, clean up in aisle 6. New pants for Wade. You get. I mean, you look back, it's dead funny, and it was actually quite funny at the day on the day.
Yeah, I got off from the med centre.
Yeah, it woke me up. No, but hey, what a place, Dusseldorf!
Brilliant. One of the best postings. I've done some cracking posts. Cyprus, Belize, tours. I did a tour in Kenya, but Dusseldorf really is up there amongst the best. It was the people that were there, the camp that we were in. I mean, even that had a history, didn't it? It was Hesse's headquarters for the German Air Force during the war.
Yeah, it was nice. It was just a beautiful place, wasn't it?
It was. The location was superb. The Altstadt had its draw. I don't think there was anything you could actually fault about the place. If I'm honest, it was there was nothing to complain about at all.
Absolutely, and then long after military, we've been there on the RAS many times, and on our little trips and all that kind of stuff. Do you remember that time we went? Did we fly Ryanair? And the airport, as all Ryanair airports, on anywhere near the town that you go into.
Oh yeah, this ain't Dusseldorf Airport.
Oh no, Dusseldorf's 100 miles that way. Oh, excellent.
Do you remember we did that trip over with you, me, Hippo, Jeff Henderson, wives, and hang on? I think that might have been the same trip actually. I'm not sure. But we went on the Visaflosse.
On the boat, yeah.
The white boat. And they were doing it was the festival on the Nile, or what? No, festival.
It was the
festival on the Rhine, wasn't it?
It was the Goose Festival, the Ganze Festival. Yeah.
And my ex-missus was a vegetarian. I don't know if you recall this.
I remember this.
They brought all the meals out, and they all had big lumps of goose on it. and Louise said, "Oh, but I've ordered the vegetarian option," and he literally just picked the goose up and took it away. There you go. Get on
no meat.
Just some Germany on for me. It was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. It was
that was a really good gathering. There was me and you. I remember Jeff Henderson was there, and Sharon and Hippo, and it was a right old gathering. And I'm assuming Jeff McGowan might have been around, if I'm not mistaken.
Can't remember, to be honest. I know there was about 10 or 15. I mean, it was a big group of us.
It was really good. And Dusseldorf was just fantastic. I want to bring this thing back up. I want us to have a chat about go back to Belize actually. So you did Belize pretty as a young lad then. So you were there straight.
Yeah, 84.
Yeah. Who was in your gang there? Who was in the team there? So who was looking?
Me and a guy called, I don't know if you recall him, Ian Hodge.
I recall the name absolutely, but I'm not sure that I'd recognise him if.
Strange character. No. I worked with him afterwards in Bulford, but I met him out there, and it was he was a strange character. Let's put it that way. He had his own way of doing things. Very, very efficient.
Yeah.
But a difficult guy to get your head round. You know.
And as a young lad, young Tom as well.
It
would have been even more so. Did you do 6 months there then?
No, I didn't. I only did 4 because I had to come back on my class 2.
Got you.
So I only managed to get 4, but it was 4 months of quite intense and quite exciting sort of life, if you like. I remember Ian and I went down to Punta Gorda to do the bog standard inspections and all the other odds and sods that go with it. I won't go into. But we finished it. We've gone down there for a week, and we'd finished it by the Wednesday. So I went to the one of the headquarters staff and said, "Look, what's the chances of getting a flight out?" And they said, "Oh well, if something turns up, we'll sort you out something and everything." Anyway, about a couple of hours later, I got a guy turn up in my room going, "Pack your bedding, you're going." So I packed it all up. We jumped on this chopper, flew out to the coast, and anybody that knows the geography of Belize will know you get out to the coast from Punta Gorda, you turn left to go to Belize City, and turn right to go to Guatemala. Okay. We turned right. I was like, "Hang on a minute, what's going on here?" Going? And we flew literally, just above sea level, and then dropped over the jungle, little plume of smoke. What the bloody hell's going on here? And it was a SAS team that were coming back in. So the amount of kit that came through the door of that chopper, mate, God knows how they got it through the jungle, but they did. And we then flew back, and the pilot handed over control to one of the SAS guys. "Have you ever flown one of these before?" "No." "Well, come and have a go." And I'm sat there.
Worried.
It was honestly, it was like riding a roller coaster. And you got Ian Hodge throwing up out the door of what you call, everybody else is clinging to their seats. Scary, but it was looking back on it, you think, bloody hell, how many people have done that? When we got back to airport camp, one of the guys from F Troop said, "How are you guys getting back to airport camp?" I said, "I don't know, we've hitched a lift. You can come back with us if you want." And they were in the Pink Panthers. So Berry came off. Look at us.
Pink Panthers.
Yeah, it was quite an experience. There was
super a lot place, Belize. Lovely grounding, and
I mean, Ian got stoned out there. He went downtown to take photographs of the open sewers and what have you. Got out of his vehicle and started taking photographs, and all the locals stoned him. He was quite. He was injured, not seriously injured, but he was injured. Well, he had to jump in his Land Rover and get back again. The life was cheap.
Oh, very much. Yeah, you got to take you over there. That watch. I want your watch. Have it, or I tell you what, they'll take your arm as well. But
that was for you though. That was in Ral's Rose Garden.
Well, funny enough, I was about to come on to your holiday ventures. Do you know it burned down?
I do, yeah. Somebody had mentioned it to me. I think it was Russ Dodd.
I have a suspicion, I could be wrong. I think it might have been Hippo, because
there was too much evidence.
Yeah, there was a lot of CCTV footage, and he hadn't paid his bar tab. And of course, his little Spanish beauties, I'm only joking, I don't even know if he's been to Belize, but his little Spanish beauties, he used to pay them on a weekly via the week, and 3 a day soon tots up. So I can imagine his bar tab, like the one, the Decker from Dusseldorf. I bet it was
all the little Lexus all the way around.
Yeah. Anyway, let's bring this back up. So good time in Belize by the sound of it. How could you not? And then which one of these little buggers did we go to after that then?
I came back on the class 2 from Belize. Then
to Keogh.
Through to Keogh, off to Dusseldorf, then off to the Falklands.
Oh, Falklands. Any good?
Yeah, I loved it. I had a really good time out there. It was hard. It was because I went for the winter. And it's the only, as I say to this day, it's the only place in the world I've ever seen 100-mile-an-hour fog. It was like bloody. You literally used to come off. I mean, there's a lot being made of the coastels now because they're putting these the asylum seekers in them. And I look at the coast because they're the same coastels apparently.
Yeah, all right.
They towed them back and refurbished them, and they're complaining about the conditions that they're living in. What they don't say is that, well, when the British Scuddies were in there were no bars, there were no cinemas, there were no communal areas. There was 4 men in a room rather than 2 men in a room. You know what I mean? You sit there and think, you whinging buggers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, grateful. What year is this then? Tell me the year.
85.
So this is early doors. So that accommodation, that would have been pretty rudimentary.
Oh yeah, the MPA was being built, but it wasn't finished. The Mount Pleasant Road was a bit iffy. So if you were going up from where we were at the Canache or the hospital, going up to MPA, it was a treacherous journey, as we proved, because we had the only Arctic fit Land Rover. So there was no Land Rovers down there that were Arctic fit. So ours had no Arctic heater in it. So we were like, hey, here we go. And we lent it to one of the RAMC guys that worked in the hospital, and he crashed it. And by the time we got to it, the Arctic fit had been stripped out of it.
Yeah, got it. It
took them minutes to get it out.
Yeah, snooze you lose. That's it.
Yeah.
Give me keys. That's it. It's gone. Yeah.
Ratty. 28
Ratty. I've heard talk of Ratty. I've heard Hippo talking about Ratty the Rover. Yeah.
Yeah. 28 F14. I'll never forget it. That was it. It served as well.
Oh, that is fantastic. So good time in the Falklands by the sound of it. Where did we go after that then, Ted? What was next?
Back to the UK for the Class 1. And then post Class 1 off to Bulford.
Bulford?
Yeah.
Ooh, there's a place. Obviously, we served together in Bulford for a while, didn't we, as well?
Yeah, that was later on, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. But, I quite liked, but I thought Bulford was all right.
I didn't enjoy it so much the first time as the second time. I felt a bit isolated, I suppose. I was a long way from home, and it was doable. I had a guy called Tony Macy as the.
I know. Again, I know the name. I wouldn't know him.
He was a TA. Sort of. I don't know how it worked, but basically he was TA, but he was on permanent sort of setup. But again, it was an interesting tour. I got promoted to sergeant while I was down there. Yeah. Well, actually, I didn't. I got promoted. I was on a corps cricket tour with BDO, and we went over to Germany. Did the corps cricket tour, and Brian Towersey was in charge of the team. And on the way back, on the ferry, he went, "Oh, and Sergeant Brunskill's getting the beers." And I went, "No, I'm not. You're getting the beers." And I'm only a corporal. He went, "No, you're a sergeant. You've been a sergeant for the last 2 weeks, but I couldn't get your place in the mess." Oh. So we'd been sleeping on stretchers, and all the seniors had been sleeping in the mess. But yeah, it was. And then shortly after that, I went off to Kenya.
Oh, nice.
I was quite lucky. I spent 4 months down there. Good tour, really good tour. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Were you out there with infantry? Were you with the battalion?
Yeah, I was out there with the Royal Hampshires.
Right.
And who took over from them? Duke of Wellington Regiment, I think.
Duke of Boots.
Yeah,
very close to my heart. Great regiment, Duke of Boots. Served with them for six months out in Bosnia. Absolutely fantastic. So that's a bit of Kenya. Catch any strange diseases in your
underpants? No, although Sean Parry, I don't know if nobody seems to have heard of him since.
Oh no, he's disappeared, man.
Yeah, he literally disappeared off the planet.
Yeah.
Sean Parry got tick-borne typhus.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he went. He was down with the engineers in a different location. I can't remember the name of the location now.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was some, again, some strange sort of theories down there. I went down, and as you know, we look after we were looking after the health of the troops. So I said to the doc, I'm going to go around the brothels, 1,000 condoms.
There's a bit of a pattern appearing here, but go on. Please.
1,000 condoms in each one. And just say to the madams, if we get a case comes out of here, you're out of bounds. So it's a similar sort of process that we used to run in Belize with Studio 102 and Rails Rose Garden. And it worked. But the doc said, no, if you put condoms in the brothels, the guys will have sex with the prostitutes. So, and if you don't put condoms in the brothels, they'll still have sex with the prostitutes. And we did. We did have a number of cases of HIV came back because the morbidity rates over there for HIV were 97% of the hookers were HIV positive. It was just incredible, the numbers. So yeah, it was
and it was deadly in those days.
In those days,
now it's not so, but yeah. Back then, 80s. Problems, man. No, it's going to kill you, you know?
And it was a new disease, in all honesty. I know a lot of people just didn't understand what it was and how it treated. So
exactly that.
Including
we're talking about Cyprus, isn't it? Went to Cyprus for a bit.
I did.
Well, how long did you get? Was that a full tour?
Just over 2 years. Yeah. 2
years as a senior NCO.
Yeah.
I was in white mess kit.
Decatur Garrison. Yeah. It was pretty disjointed from the rest of JSHU. So and again, it was a cushy tour, if I'm honest, Dick.
Well, you've got to take the rough with the smooth, haven't you? You know, you've suffered Belize and all those wonderful, horrible beach-ridden places. Kenya, and why not? I'm getting the pattern.
You know my civvy mate John.
Yeah, John, your best man.
Yeah. It was. He used to call it British Army Club Med Division.
and he was right.
Yeah, I had a cracking tour. Went out in '89. In a mess that was you couldn't have wished for better. There was an incredible bunch of geezers in there that were. And
I've over the years I've met some of them. So I've met Russ, and I know you. I've never met Dave, but your mate Dave. So I know you had a really good crack out.
We did, yeah. It was, and the post that I had was strange. It was a bit odd, but we had clearance to 9-6 to the sneaky beaky block because they had problems with mice and cockroaches and all the other odds and sods. So we used to have to go in there. So we had very high levels of clearance in terms of security. In fact, there was only, I think, me and the garrison commander were allowed to go in from outside of 9-6. That was it. And when we went in, when I went in, they used to cover everything with curtains. And you just sit there and think, well, I wouldn't know what was on the screen anyway. It was beyond me. It was completely beyond me. But that's where we had the issue with a suicide. I won't go into the detail of that.
Yeah, but it's worth mentioning actually because it was a hostage situation as well, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was. I got the call out on because we were on the reaction team effectively. I got the call out early on the Friday morning. The guy he'd been on the QRF, switched on Cookie actually because he volunteered to clean all the weapons. And when he did so, he took all the firing pins out. And then when he did a bunk from the guard room, he took 1,000 rounds of ammunition, an LSW and 2 SA-80s, and disappeared into the block. Fired numerous rounds. He was picking off, at the tech block. He fired rounds inside the accommodation. Took 2 girls hostage at the end of the corridor on the 2nd floor. It was a complex situation. The girls, incredible bravery. He fell asleep, and one of them, or the 2 of them, grabbed weapons and dived out the door and down the fire escape, and left him in the room alone. And there was normal sort of overreaction. the place had been surrounded by troops, obviously, because he was picking off shots left, right, and centre initially. And you get all the reports. He's at window X. He's at window Y. He's at, and this went on to the Tuesday, the following Tuesday.
Oh wow! Okay, long time.
And we'd had all these reports of sightings over the weekend. The SAS went in on the Tuesday morning, and he'd obviously topped himself. But he'd obviously topped himself on the Thursday night, Friday morning, because there was nothing left of him. There was Jim Mackland and I had to go in and clean it up.
Charming.
Yeah, not a pleasant experience.
No, not at all. However, you'd have been in Cyprus in the 90s when the Gulf War kicked off. Then
I was, yeah. That's very grand.
Yeah, well, that's funny enough. That's where I was going. So
it was.
It's quite funny, actually. I recall this little story.
It was sometime afterwards when we were in the mess at Keogh, and the Gulf War came up in conversation, and my Gulf War medal came into the equation. I don't know why, but and Danny jumped on it and went, "Yeah, but you didn't get the bar," meaning I wasn't actually in the fighting area, if you like, the battle area. And I went, "Danny, where I was, there were hundreds of bars," and we still laugh about it to this day.
Yeah, and your bars were comfy. Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to dive forward then, Ted. So far, then we've been through Brack College, we've been through EH 321, we've done Belize, we've done Falklands, we've done Cyprus. So that's a good career. That's gone well. I want to mention not the people themselves. Well, not one of them because he's not here, he's dead. But that would be a feat. I want to bring in a mention. I'm going to bring a picture up of this for you and I to have a quick chat about, and then it will be. And it's not macabre, it's not somber, but the reason I want to make this pic, let me make it a bit bigger, because there's two people now. We have discussed this yesterday. There's two people in this picture on the top left, and then next to him in the combat jacket, who I think warrant mention here. So you got Mark Sayer,
yeah,
in the top
absolutely,
left, and then we got Jeff Henderson. So we'll come to the others in a minute, but let's just bring me and you back into shot while we can let's talk about why those people. So Mark Sayer first, and then Jeff Henderson. Why they've been kind of instrumental in both of our lives, haven't they?
Very much so.
And what's your? Let's start with Mark Sayer then. Let's start with Tojo, as everyone knows him as.
Yeah, well, Tojo, good guy, he always has been. It was, and as you well know, when we set up Corporate Safety Solutions, he was instrumental in really getting us off the ground, and that business went on for 20 odd years. But I can't remember the role that he was in initially. It was a police role, wasn't it, in Wiltshire, somewhere around there? Yeah, he has done that. Yeah. But I recall fondly. And then, sorry, go on. No, go on. Yeah. Yeah, I was. The Sky was good business for us. It took us all over the UK. And as John Murray or Andy Murray, or whatever the terminology is correct, will tell you, he went off to one of the islands. I don't know if you remember. Scotland, yeah. He was off Scotland, yeah. And he got stuck on there. And then when he did get back, I think he got across to Oban, and he managed to hitch a lift, but it was 6 kids in the back of a Ford Escort with a dog and a driver that only did 20 miles an hour. I remember John coming back into the office absolutely furious. Yeah, bless him. But yeah, they were interesting days they were. I mean, there was some really interesting jobs that went on. That it was, and we'll be forever grateful to Mark for that because it was a really good opportunity. It was a good opportunity for you and I, to be going out and auditing. And there was a lot, wasn't there? We did a lot of work. It was a big job, yeah. It was. Yeah, it was a huge task, and we did it for quite a long time. And until I cocked it up.
No, it wasn't. Not in the slightest.
No,
But he did us a great, I guess, in a way, a favour. But we did a good job for them, and so I've always had that at the back of my mind that for Mark's, and I like Mark. He's a great guy. I've always liked Mark. And so, Mark, when you get to watch this, and he will, I think he's on holiday at the moment, but when you do get to watch this, from the pair of us,
oh, absolutely,
we were, and always will be eternally grateful for that. And I've done bits and bobs of work with Mark since as well. So he is always a great guy. But then, and then in a similar fashion, I guess, Jeff here, bless him. Obviously, he's dead now, but he did a. Let's close that down. So he did a similar thing. We did a lot of work for him, didn't we? On a similar thing when he was the boss man at Level 3 Communications.
Yeah.
And he had us all over the place, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, most of Europe, I think. Yeah. I can't think of a major city in Europe that we didn't end up visiting to look at the various trips away. On top of that, the conferences that we did, and it was incredible working with that.
It was awesome. Now, there's one that I remember because it still makes me laugh to this day. So so our brief was to go, was it to Belgium, wasn't it? Brussels. And it was, we knew it was 9/11. We knew it was the anniversary of 9/11. So we thought, we'll drive. So we do you remember Schultz came and helped us out? Schultz came over and did some, and he flew. I always thought that was
fly you, mate. No, it was there were good days. I mean, the job was really interesting as well. When you think about how Level 3 had developed, because I mean, most people have never heard of Level 3. They've got no idea who they were. No. But they were born out of Amtrak, weren't they? The American Rail Network, and because they had the rights of way across the states with the railways, they ran fibre. And then they did the transatlantic link, used to pop up in Bude, and then you had all the inline amplifiers all the way across to London and then distributed across Europe. And we were following that fibre, basically. That
was brilliant. I recall it so well. We had some lovely trips around. Again, lots to do. It was proper work. But that's the beauty, though. Yeah, it's work. It's still a good crack along the way, Let me bring some photos. So that's those two. So thanks to Tojo, and thanks to Jeff. We'll send Jeff our thanks later. I'm getting a week before Christmas. We'll do that. I'm sure
he's a sad loss, though. I mean, really,
absolutely.
Bringing it back to basics, he was a good guy. Not only did he give us business, but he was a bloody good guy as well.
I'm going to bring this picture back up, Ted, because it's worth mentioning. So your very good friend there, look, Russ Dodd, lovely fella.
Yeah.
And then this leads us on nicely. So you see that fella on the end with the hearing protection. Now then.
Yeah, he did a particularly good job on that shoot, as I recall.
I'll tell you what, let's before we go, because let's bring Linny back in. So everyone knows, though, for years and years and years, in Derby, down at your shooting club, because after I taught you to clay pigeon shoot, you got quite good at it, didn't you? We used to get a gang of us together, didn't we? Most years, and it went on for ages. There's only the four of us in that picture, but if I recall, Dougie Ralph was always there.
Oh God, I came across a photograph of that. I mean, I should have brought it with me actually, but I came across a photograph and I was like, bloody hell, I don't recognise half the people in here. There was that many.
It was a big bunch, but we would be kicked out of the union if we let this story pass us by at this juncture. So on one of the shoots, and it's probably this one, and Daz Hilly won't mind us saying this because he's as thick-skinned of any of us. I'm all right to say that here's Daz on the end, look, as everyone knows. So bless him, Daz had himself down as a really, really good shot, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And after all of your coaching, I wasn't a bad shot either. So.
You were all right. You did well.
But we decided, if you remember, that you couldn't win the trophy consecutively 2 years.
Yeah.
So although I'd come out on top, we decided between us we'd let somebody else take it forward, and Des was really competitive all the way through the shooting, And we announced, we're not going to allow somebody to grab her. So what I'd like to do is invite Des Hillier up. And Des is like, "Hey, here we go." And when he got up to the stage or whatever we were stood on, I went, "Des, would you do me a favour and present that to Dougie Ralph?" And I think Dougie Ralph still got the comment.
This will be an opportune moment, Tony.
It was absolutely...
Wait. And there it is. Oh, it's lovely. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, I'll tell you what.
His face was a picture.
Which goes to prove the point. Squad is a crew. but proud of it as well. I'll tell you what I want to bring on. So we're on 55 minutes. So we've got about five or so more minutes to go.
55? Bloody hell.
Time flies when you're having fun. That's what I've heard. Tony's going, this is dragging by.
When does the fun start?
I put some thought into this. You're not aware of this. I've phoned and I've been in contact with every single one of your commanding officers from, all those places you've talked about, Belize, Cyprus, Kenya.
Good God.
Spoke to them all. There seems to be a pattern. Every one of them said to me, "Oh yeah, he lost his ID card while he was here as well." And I went, and they went, "And I've still got it." So what I've done, I've managed to get, I've had them all posted to me. So as you've travelled around the world, I've got all your ID cards. So there you go, and so that will save you getting the £50 fine. You can thank me later. Don't worry.
The beer gastronomic tour of the world.
It is, but if you think about it, it's so true, isn't it? That's what people do as they travel the world. What was the beer like? Oh, it was really nice. Your Tusker in Kenya. Oh God, it was life-saving, wasn't it? Tusker Baridi, cold Tusker, and Bellicans worth a brief chat about, isn't it? Because the factory was right next door outside. And
we used to get the freebies.
Yeah, the stims. We used to get freebie stims and everything, and we used to keep them cold in the mortuary. But, there you go. So that came in, and they never had that many.
Although the mortuary when I was there was nice, though, outside a refrigerated ISO container off the back of a lorry. Oh
well, you were 80s, wasn't it? You were I was there in 99 end of 91, 92 with Stevie Davenport there. But again, a wonderful posting but that became the mortuary was where all the stuff we used to get stuff. That was a wonderful post.
The strange story about handling bodies, if you like. When I was in the Falklands, there was we used to get all the Japanese jigger ships coming in and Taiwanese jigger ships coming in, fishing for squid. And there'd been a fight on board one, and one of the crew had been killed, and they needed to get the body back to Thailand or Japan, wherever it was. So they dumped it with us, and obviously being in the hospital, the body came back to us, and it was in a body bag. So it went in a morgue, and we arranged for a coffin to be constructed to ship it back to Thailand or wherever it was going. And unfortunately, his legs had fallen apart in the body bag. So when they tried to fit him in the coffin, he wouldn't fit. It worked when they were measuring him up, but when they tried to fit him in, it was like, he was frozen. It was like, so they had to break his legs to get him in the coffin. The stuff that used to go on is beyond belief.
Tell me about it. I've got some good old stories. More will come out later on, and not on this one, maybe in future ones when we do other stuff as well. Anyway, so we're kind of coming towards the end now. So it's been a really interesting journey. Yeah, you had a good crack. You had a really good crack in the army.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was a good time. I went at the right time. It was, for me, it was the right time to go.
But I'm guessing, if I'm listening correctly, there's some good memories coming out, some really good memories. And
absolutely.
Good fun, good crack. And obviously, we're still in touch with everyone today. I want to bring on a picture. So last couple of minutes, and I've got a couple of direct questions for you, which have been sent in from Thailand. How bizarre is that?
Right.
Yeah, now you're worried, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Thanks, Steve Hallam. Much appreciated. Anyway, so this
Thanks, Steve
was
Hallam. I'll get you later.
You have him later. I want to throw this up because this.
All right, yeah.
This was quite poignant, wasn't it? So we went
very
down,
much so. Yeah.
We went down to watch Sean Kennedy get chucked out of an aeroplane, and I know we tried to do it a few years before, but sadly the criteria was they had to be dead first, wasn't it? So that put paid to that idea. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because that was nice.
That was a very emotional day, I've got to say.
Yeah, me and Simo, it took me by surprise actually. So we'd been, he'd been long dead. He'd been dead for 8 years, years basically.
Yeah, been in your sock drawer, hasn't he?
Well, that's quite funny. So we had a chat, didn't we, with his sister on here?
Yeah.
And that came up. She went, "What?" And then we told her the story that, I mean, we'll very briefly do it here, but so he died, funeral, cremation, ashes. I sent his ashes to his sister, Catherine, down in Gloucester. And then she told me, "Oh, we're going to go and scatter them on his mum's grave and give him his own gravestone." And I said, "Keep a few," which she did. She sent them back to me in a Tupperware box. What am I going to do with that? So I put him in my drawer with my knickers and my socks, and he was there for nearly 2 years until he got thrown out of an aeroplane. Yeah. I don't know what's worse, living in my knickers or getting chucked out of an aeroplane.
Well, as you pointed out at the time, he was scared of heights.
Yeah, heights and wasps. Yeah. I missed a trick there. I should have put some bumblebees in his bag. Anyway, so let's bring this back on. So that's him. So he's gone. He had a good send off in the end. It all went swimmingly well.
The job that Mark Robson does with those scattering in the ashes is pretty impressive.
You what, let's mention that for a moment, shall we? Because you make a very good point there. Mark Robson, who we both know, great guy, ex-parachute regiment guy, ex-policeman, so he did 2 full careers in both. Happens to dive out of aeroplanes as well, as a lot of paras do. But the service he does for veterans and veterans' families is just so selfless, unbelievable, Yeah. And he'll travel around the country, paying out of his own money to go and collect ashes from people who can't travel themselves for work. And just brilliant. What a lovely fella. So yeah, and then he did Sean, and then he did Jim Pendlebury. We went to that one, didn't we? When they chucked Jim out as well.
He's due to chuck me out of one actually. I signed up for it's for East Durham Veterans Trust, a sponsored parachute jump, because basically parachuting is what ended my army career. And so I face your fears, I'm going to do it. Unfortunately, I was injured when I was supposed to do it, and then they've had a fatality at the jump school. One of their videographers. Yeah,
I remember. Yeah.
One of the videographers. Ploughed in. So it's all been delayed. So I'm over a year behind now, and we're getting into the winter. I don't know if I'm going to get it in this year. But
it's getting a bit dodgy now. Oh, so you're going to get thrown out of an airplane twice? Yeah. Excellent.
No, I am getting a parachute, Nick. Sorry to disappoint you.
Yeah, well, this always spoil it, don't they? So Dougie Ralph there. Look, he's put a comment on this. So Colonel Nine outside, Dougie, good to see you, my friend. And,
how you doing, Doug?
He'll be in good spirits. Dougie down there in Basingstoke with Chris. Very kindly hosted me a little while ago when I was working in Guildford. Went across, spent the night with Dougie and Chris. Looked after me a treat.
It would have been a real nice sort of experience seeing Chris.
Dougie he'll get you when he sees you. No, that's great, Dougie. Thanks, mate. No, thank you for A, joining us, and B, taking part. That is very much appreciated. I need to bring this thing back on. So let's click a couple of buttons now. Brunskill's got a bit of explaining to do. So Stevie Hallam says you need to ask him about his love of som tam, and I'd never heard of it, so I did a bit of googling around. I assume that is som tam, is it? It
is, yeah.
Is it one of your loves of Tanya's cooking or something? Janya's cooking?
No, 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 they don't cook down. Steve and Jenny don't cook in the house. They eat out all the time.
Right.
But sometimes is a salad, believe it or not. And
Yeah,
it is probably the best food I've ever had anywhere in the world. And I don't eat salads. It's absolutely delicious.
Is it beautiful?
And you can't get it for love nor money in the UK.
Right.
It's really strange because Thai restaurants, I love Thailand in its entirety is just an incredible place.
Yeah.
But the food is superb, and there's a lot of Thai restaurants in the UK. I went to one the other day in Newcastle, funnily enough, in Eldon Square.
Oh yeah.
Because I'd seen some tam on the menu. Wasn't
Not
at all.
saying.
No,
No.
just nowhere near. But I've got a real addiction to some tam.
Well, and of course you went. Oh, you spent a bit of time out there with Steve, didn't you? Yeah.
Well, I went twice in 2018. I went the first time just because I wanted to get out of the country and do something.
Yeah.
And the second time I went because my bank had cocked up my banking and had to pay me £3,500 in compensation.
Yeah, good. Okay.
So I thought, I wonder what I'll do with that. So I buggered off back to
Steve.
I went back. Yeah, I went back. I think I spent about 2.5 months in total over the year down there. It was absolutely incredible place. Absolutely.
Lovely couple of Steve and Janya as well. He did mention in his message to me that I ought to mention Hippo, thinking that he likes hot spicy noodles, and then Janya, because we used to go to his house in Deep Cut, where she used to
Alba Gardens.
She used to cook up some amazing stuff. It was like, wow, what the hell is this? I remember
when I first met Janya, and as you know, her English wasn't brilliant at that time.
At the start, yeah.
And I walked into the house at Alba Gardens or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
She was sat in the hall with a mortar and pestle inside of her folded legs or crossed legs, and she's pounding away at this food. And she went, buono, Thai Moulinex. It's like, I've never forgotten it to this day. And it was just hilarious. But yeah, the food that she could produce, mate, was just
it was amazing. And it just used to appear really quickly and really, really, really nicely. The other thing to mention, he said, was make sure you ask Tony about Manchester Lamppost, Yates's Blob, and Where's My Leg? Did you lose your leg? What's that all about? I have no idea.
We went into. I'd never heard of Blob. It was a complete. In fact, Yates's were new pubs at the time. We were going back to got to be early 80s.
Long time,
And we went in, and Steve mentioned this drink, the Blob, which was like red wine with sugar and hot red wine with sugar in it. And it was gorgeous. It was like drinking Glühwein, you know what I mean? But a sweetened version of it.
Oh, yeah.
It was absolutely delicious. And I had 2, and that's when I lost my legs. You can't walk after them. They're just claw you. Absolutely. And I thought I could drink at the time. But, absolutely floored me.
That's like me and McKillipitch then, isn't it? It's like...
Exactly.
I bet that doctor was on duty. You know, the one who keeps getting the anaesthetics. I bet he was on duty that day as well, the bugger.
I'm saying I could drink. Do you remember our time in Amsterdam with Jeff Henderson when I pavement pizzaed outside the cafe?
Well, let me tell you my memories of that. So that was almost going back to hotel time when it was still in the Ibis next to the train station.
That's right, yeah.
And we were waiting.
You and Jeff were going to kill me.
Yeah, we need a taxi. And anyway, eventually, taxi. This taxi is now driving towards me, you, and Henderson. At this point, you thought, that pavement looks like it could do with decoration. This taxi stopped. Honestly, it nearly went on its front wheels, and then he reversed. I've never seen a taxi.
He didn't want to lose his place in the taxi rank. That was an experience and a half. I won't be doing that again in a hurry.
Oh, brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant.
That's the problem with coffee shops in Amsterdam.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't just the coffee, was it? That was just strong. Right then, Ted. So that brings us quite steadily to the end of our little gathering. You'll get the last word in a couple of seconds. So let me sum up then what if I've listened, and I have the benefit, of course, that I've known your career literally from almost the day, but not long after, all the way through. So, I think what people take away from this is, military environmental health. You can have a good crack in there. You can go to some interesting places. You can meet some wonderful people. There's a really serious job to do, but it can be all right and a good crack. And then, of course, you leave and you move on to your new career. And that's not really what this one's about. This is more the military side. So that's my take on the Brunskill military career in Army Health. What's your take on it, and any sort of parting words?
No, not really. I think the only thing that's occurred to me over the last few days is I heard that I think it was on the news actually that medics were being deployed to Cyprus to support the what's going on in the Middle East, to handle refugees and the likes coming out of the Middle East. And that's what I did during the Gulf War, and I'm just really interested to see how they bounce off each other. I mean, obviously 30 years ago that was my job. I was setting up prisoner of war camps and refugee stations and what have you. But that announcement, I'm thinking that's got to be Army Health. They didn't say Army Health. They just said, medics were being deployed. And I just thought that's got to be Army Health, because that's what, that's the bread and butter. It really is bread and butter stuff. Yeah,
quite right. Yeah. So, now back to the basics. That's what, because when it all gets messy and horrible,
history repeats itself, doesn't it? And that's
yeah, exactly.
We're in a sad time in the world at the moment. It's a broken world, but
yeah, good. Right, okie dokie. So what I'm going to do, Tony, is say thank you very much. It's been a lovely chat. Really enjoyed it. It's flowed. 1 hour and 12 minutes. I normally can't bear more than 20 minutes with you. You know that.
That's 10 times more than I can bear with you. So
yeah, you've done well. And just for everyone else watching, earlier on I sent 2 lads around to Tony's house. We nailed his feet to the floor. that's why he's still paying attention. I'm just glad he didn't bleed out before we finished the chat. No, it's been a good chat, mate. Thank you. I really do appreciate your time, Tony. And thank you. See you soon, my friend. Take care.
Yeah, take care.
Don't disappear. I'm going to take you out of shots. There we are.
Thanks.
So there you go, everyone. That's Tony Brunskill. Tony's out of shot now. I just want to express my thanks to Tony for joining us. It's been a really interesting chat. Really enjoyed that. It's been good fun, good banter along the way. But I guess it shows the diversity of a career in military environmental health. So from literally a young kid, young boy, Tony there, 17, 18, joining Army Health, and then following through that quite interesting and diverse career, moving up through the ranks, traveling around the world with a real job to do. So thanks to Tony, thanks to you for watching if you're live, and there are people still watching live now. Thank you. And again, if you watch later, thank you again. I just want to reiterate once more, one final time. I keep going on about this, but it's really important. For this little project to be a success, we need the reach. We need it to get out to people far and wide. And the only way that YouTube will allow us to do that is if people engage, subscribe, click the alert button, maybe make a few comments here and there. So please do that, and I would be eternally grateful. That's me. That's Richard Wade. It's the 5th of October 2024, and we're ending the stream. Thank you. Take care.